Canada is a sovereign country in North America. Its capital is the city of Ottawa, and the most populous city is Toronto. Located at the north end of North America subcontinent, it extends from the Atlantic Ocean to the east, the Pacific Ocean to the west, and northward to the Arctic Ocean. It shares a border with the United States to the south, and to the northwest with its federated state of Alaska. It is the second largest country in the world after Russia, and almost the northernmost. It occupies about half of the territory of North America. Because of its climate, it is one of the 15 countries with the lowest population density in the world, with approximately 4 inhabitants per square kilometer. For tens of thousands of years, Canada was inhabited by Aboriginal people from a variety of different cultures and language groups. Residential schools sought to educate Aboriginal children to forget their origins and separate them from their families so that they would have no Aboriginal heritage and indoctrinate them into Canadian and Christian culture. As Canada is such a large country, the cuisine varies according to the region and the many cultures they have populate this part of North America. Some of the dishes are similar to those in other regions of the continent, although some are unique to Canada or versions that will not be found in another country. Despite this variety, some food that could be considered as national Canadian dish are the poutine and the butter tart. It is important to note that Canadian is the number one product of maple syrup, so that many dishes are distinguished by the use of said product. Historically, three cuisines had influenced Canadian cuisine the most: First Nation, English, and Canadian. However, waves of migrants have continued to arrive in the country in the last century, from the rest of Europe, Asia, Africa, the Caribbean, and Latin America. Then I go to talk about the traditions. We have the first, that is the festival, Montreal Jazz Festival, and Canadian is well known from its year-round festival. Among them is the Montreal Jazz Festival. This is one of the most important jazz festivals in the world. Thousands of people travel to Montreal. The second, Canadians are known for being kind and polite, something you will discover if you are going to study an academic year in Canada. One of the most peculiar Canadian traditions is the custom of leaving shoes at the entrance to the house. It is a social custom not to use at home the footwear with which you have walking on the street. Another characteristic Canadian social custom is that if you are invited to lunch or dinner at another house, you must be punctual and bring a detail as a thank you. They usually bring flowers, drinks, or even desserts. Third, since young, they learn this sport. Both in school and in college, there are nice hockey leagues in which standard Sassy League involves. The National Hockey Leagues, NHL, has a lot of pull. Canadians are very fond of ice hockey. It is also necessary to highlight skiing as one of the most Canadian traditions. The reason for this, it is endless ski slopes and countless ski resorts. Many Canadians descend their wonderful mountains several times a year. Therefore, Thanksgiving Day. Unlike the United States, Canadian Thanksgiving is celebrated on the second Monday in October, not in November. Canadian Thanksgiving was first celebrated on a Monday in 1908, after railroads began to turn it into a long weekend that could be used to visit the family. Since then, the day became officially. In addition, being further north, than the United States, the harvests are collected early by the weather. As for dinner, the turkey is also protagonist, accompanied by cranberry sauce. They are also vegetable dishes or mashed potatoes, among other. Dessert is important at this dinner. The most traditional is the pumpkin pie. The last, the Stampede, is a festival celebrated in July in the province of Alberta, especially in Calgary. It is one of the most deeply rooted Canadian traditions in the West. It is a typical Western film festival that many Canadians came to the village dressed in typical cowboy attire, race, play, exhibit, and parade. Although the most important acts are the rodeos of owl and horse. The Stampede is one of the Canadian most popular traditions, as more than 1 million people from around the world visit it every year. Another tradition is the new shoot on Bucket Day. This Canadian tradition is some way mysterious. No one knows exactly where it arose, although its roots are difficult to trace. It is a long-standing custom. Tradition holds that Canadian financial ministers wear new shoes whenever they submit on a budget each year. Some believe this began in 1960 when Finance Minister Donald Fleming bought a new pair of shoes for that occasion. Talking about the sport, we have another that is lacrosse. Lacrosse is also a very strong sport in Canadian culture. Even the country has officially hockey as a winter sport and lacrosse as a summer. Canada was still responsible for the emergence of a new sport called box lacrosse, where the game takes place inside a covered field, since in its origins it is practiced in the open air. In the rules, each team has 23 players, but only 10 enter into the field. 1 net keeper, 3 defense, 3 midfielders, and 3 attackers. The goal of this sport is to score a goal, taking the ball to the opponent's net, using only the stick to do so. Talking a little bit about nature, we have the Banff National Park. In 1883, on the slope of the Canadian Rocky Mountains, railroad workers discovered a natural hot spring. Thus, one of Canadian main tourist attractions was born, Banff National Park, the oldest national park in the country, which encompasses a region of incomparable mountainous beauty.